Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract fortune, while others spend their lives waiting for miracles that never come? What if I told you that destiny doesn't just favor the lucky? It favors the relentless. Welcome back to Motivated Soul, where we dive deep into stories that aren't just meant to entertain you, but to wake you up, to push you to look at life a little differently. Today's story might sound like an old fable, but it holds a timeless truth that every adult needs to hear. So sit back, open your heart, and let this story reshape the way you see hard times. Once upon a time, nestled amidst rolling fields and humble homes, was a small village. It was the kind of place where people found comfort in predictability. Their faith wasn't just in their hard work, or even in each other. It was in the words of the astrologers. If the astrologers said the harvest would be good, the villagers celebrated before a single seed was sown. If they warned of trouble, the entire village sank into fear before trouble ever arrived. One morning, those astrologers gathered in the village square with grim faces. They declared that a dark future awaited. A dreadful drought is coming. For the next 12 years, not a single drop of rain will bless this land. If you value your lives and the lives of your families, leave this village. Find shelter elsewhere before it's too late. Panic spread like wildfire. The villagers didn't question it. Why would they? Their entire lives, they had surrendered their judgment to these men who claimed to read the stars. Soon, homes were being emptied. Furniture, grains, livestock, everything was packed onto carts. People were driven by desperation, their eyes filled with terror at the thought of watching their children starve. But amidst this storm of fear stood one man, unmoved, a humble farmer. His hands were rough from years of tilling the land, his heart stubborn as an old ox. His wife pleaded with tear-filled eyes, "Please, let's go. Everyone's leaving. Are we wiser than the whole village?" His children clung to his legs, terrified of being left behind in a ghost town. Even elders he respected came to reason with him. "Brother, don't be foolish. When an entire community flees, it's not without cause." But the farmer just shook his head. "I cannot leave behind the soil that has fed us for generations. Not on someone else's word. If drought comes, we will face it here." And so, one by one, neighbors disappeared over the horizon until the once lively village fell silent. Days turned to weeks. The astrologer's prophecy weighed heavily on the farmer's family. There was no work. What was the point of tending land that would never see rain? The children grew restless, the wife quiet. Even the farmer, who had once stood so firm, began pacing his empty fields, doubt gnawing at his resolve. But one morning, as the sun rose over his deserted village, the farmer stopped dead in his tracks. "What if," he thought, "I wake up a year from now and I've forgotten how to hold a plow? What if rain returns and my hands no longer remember this sacred work?" So he picked up his plow. The wooden handle felt familiar, like shaking hands with an old friend. He dragged it through the dry earth, though every step sent a stab of hopelessness through his chest. He returned home exhausted and empty-handed. His wife said nothing, but her eyes were glassy with fear. The next day, he did it again and again. For days, he worked that lifeless land, not because he believed rain was coming, but because he believed in never letting himself forget who he was. A week passed. The farmer stood alone in his field under a blistering sun. Sweat dripped from his brow into the cracked soil. And then, out of nowhere, a tiny cloud drifted overhead. It hovered curiously above him and, in a voice that seemed to echo inside his very soul, asked, "What are you doing? Are you mad? The entire village is empty. Not a single soul believed in this land. Why do you keep plowing barren earth all alone?" The farmer stopped, leaned on his plow, and with a weary smile replied, "Because if I stop, I might forget. I might forget how to sow, how to care for this land. And you, who knows when you'll come again? But when you do, I want to be ready. I want these hands to remember their purpose." The cloud fell silent, stirred by something deeper than prophecy. What if, it thought, we clouds forget how to rain, just like men forget how to plow? And so, moved by the farmer's steadfast spirit, it began to weep. Drop by drop, the dry soil darkened. Soon, other clouds gathered, spilling their long-held tears upon the earth. The farmer fell to his knees, hands buried in the wet soil, laughter and tears mixing on his sun-worn face. His wife and children rushed out, dancing under the rainfall, their fears washed away. Now you might say, "Come on, clouds don't talk." Maybe they don't, but life does. It speaks to those who keep moving even when there's no sign of reward. This story isn't just about drought or farmers, it's about you. It's about not waiting for perfect conditions to keep working on yourself, your dreams, your skills. Because someday opportunity will come pouring down. And when it does, will you remember how to plow? If this story moved you even a little, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And for more stories that keep your spirit sharp and your soul motivated, subscribe to Motivated Soul. Because here, we believe, fortune doesn't favor the lucky, it favors the relentless. Until next time, keep your hands ready and your heart unwavering.